don't use those words, like what other words would you use to describe that?
Liberation-based healing is looking at how families and communities and individuals are able to heal from damages that have occurred to them. Well, it was important for me to be here because I thought that there was a definite need in the community to have a different type of structure or a different way of engaging in their mental health and their physical health and wellness. One of the things that I saw when I moved to Portland, and I've noticed it across the country, is that people are tired of the same old thing. They're tired of being in situations where their voice isn't heard, or they're discounted, or they're disempowered, and they're looking for resources. And this conference allows people to connect in a different way, to have resources that they wouldn't normally be able to get to. So, for example, we were able to bring in national presenters and also empower local presenters and organizers to be able to have a forum to display their work and show that they're open and available to engage in the community in a different way. And people are really responsive to that. And so it was important to bring it here to Portland and also into this community in particular, because there's been a history of marginalized people not having a voice. So I felt it was important for those that have some voice to use their privilege and power to create a space so that other voices can be heard.
Okay. And why is how do you implement social justice into your professional and personal life?
Well, in my personal life, I implement social justice by trying to live a life where I'm equally respectful of people that I deal with, but also recognize that I have some privileges that I can lend to other people to help better their situations. So that means, like with my family members, sometimes I do things that are above and beyond what other people would do, but also there's a piece of accountability to it. So it's not like anyone has a free reign over me or I'm not in control of things, but I expect certain things from people, and then I try to hold them accountable to that, just like they try to hold me accountable. So I try to create systems in my life where I leave myself exposed so that certain areas are able to be critiqued easily and are open for critique. And so and that goes into my professional life, where my teaching, trying to have an empowering position in the classroom where students, particularly women in my courses, which are, most of my courses are women, they're women in my courses, feel safe and feel able to express their ideas in a safe space, and also know that they're going to not be challenged by me in a way that's disrespectful, but in a way that's going to push them to go further. And then also to have a feedback loop where I'm able to take feedback from them to say what's going to help better me, and better me as a teacher, as a professor, as a researcher, and as a community worker and community organizer. And also working with communities, coming from a partnership standpoint, where I do have some resources, but I also need the community that I'm embedded in to support me, because I know that after a certain point, that's really what holds you, keeps you grounded, and also supports you when other things fall apart. So really, everything is looked at from an empowerment basis, keeping equity within relationships, discussing those things explicitly, keeping transparency, also figuring out how to resolve conflicts in a way that will help everyone stay empowered and not be in a position where someone feels like they're being taken advantage of. So those are some brief things that I try to do in my personal life and my work life.
Okay, and so what does liberation-based healing mean to you?
Liberation-based healing means restoring people back to a sense of wholeness, and all the practices or the ways that we do that are meant to transform the systems that people are embedded in. So instead of just dealing with the problem, it means looking at the problem and expanding that to say, well, what systems are involved in this, and then challenging those systems to change it. Because it's not good enough just to say, well, I can make you happy or I can make you feel better, but changing what's causing you to feel unhappy or causing you to feel down. And so that's a different, that's liberatory. So there's a movement piece to it, there's a social action piece to it, there's a engagement piece to it, and it's more than just writing or speaking just for scholarship's sake, but that scholarship has to, or if it's clinical work, has to be aimed at freeing someone up from the institutional, the systemic, the historical barriers and restraints that are part of their lives.
Okay, and I'm curious to know, is liberation-based healing a term that you use professionally, or is there another term that you use to describe what you just talked about?
I use it professionally.
Okay.
Also use like emancipatory psychology or so a lot of social justice and equity also is tied into that. But in my work, I use that term, or either transformative family therapy, and those are terms that move beyond just the therapeutic piece, but there's an action piece to it. There's something that has to be changed or challenged, and that's the implicit goal within whatever framework, whatever. There's an implicit goal in everything that's done, that it should be towards an aim, which is liberation, whether that's psychological, physical, spiritual. There has to be something that is an outcome. It's not good enough just to sit in that circle and keep just going in circles and staying at the same level, maintaining the status quo. It means to change that.